Hey friend, welcome to She Said podcast. I'm Laura Cox Kaplan. I am so excited to launch this new season of the podcast, and I can't wait to share our new episodes with you. For those of you who are regular listeners, thank you so very much. You may have noticed that I took a little break, a summer sabbatical, if you will, to reflect and recharge, but also to take a good look at our content. Over 159 episodes and conversations with an amazing array of women. I am especially gratified that even though we weren't producing new content in July and August, you still took She Said podcast with you on road trips, and you helped push our download numbers up by several thousand new downloads, and I am truly thrilled by that. That fact, along with the time away, also gave me a chance to look closely at the themes and the guests who particularly resonated with you and the topics that sparked the most interest. So many of you are looking for insight and perspective around life and career, but you also share my passion for really owning your journey. You also love the actionable advice and appreciate content that's uplifting and empowering and positive. You also don't have a lot of time to waste, and you appreciate how focused I am on making sure that the time you spend with me is a good investment in you. And I take that commitment really seriously. Those tend to be some of the areas that really differentiate She Said podcast. There's not a lot of idle chit-chat. The conversations are upbeat even when the subject matter is decidedly more serious. As I took a step back, one area that really jumped out at me relates to this concept of influence. Now, not in the trendy way that we often think about influencers today, but in the deeper way in which we get buy-in for our ideas, the ways we build support for our businesses, the way we attract and hopefully retain clients, the way we collaborate to get things done in our communities, and even the influence that we can have within our own families. That also includes, perhaps most importantly, how we manage ourselves and our own growth and development. I have spent my entire career, some 3 decades, focused on influence in one form or another. Whether it was early on as a press secretary for senators on Capitol Hill, or in senior roles in government, or later learning how to use those skills of influence to build support among broader groups of stakeholders, from Congress and the investing public to my colleagues in a large global professional services firm. More often than not, the people I was leading were those who didn't report to me, and in some cases included those who actually outranked me, essentially managing up, and that required significant skills of influence. A deep understanding of influence also helped me appreciate the need to develop a broad and diverse network of people, women and men, that I continue to draw upon constantly, including those who don't share my point of view or opinions, but who instead challenge me to think more broadly. As I thought about our past 159 episodes and so many great conversations with women about their lives and careers and projects and vocations, I began to recognize an interesting pattern, again related to this idea of influence. I saw 5 key areas that seem to underpin how I thought about influence. The first is self-awareness, which essentially includes things like mindset and the importance of managing yourself. The second relates to challenging yourself to keep learning and growing and to embrace personal evolution. We talk a lot about career pivots on this podcast. The third relates to networking and building relationships that will sustain you and help you in just a myriad of ways. The fourth relates to a strategic and thoughtful approach to actions. Things like looking for win-wins when you're negotiating and understanding the other side's non-negotiables, things like that. And then the fifth relates to presence. Everything from public speaking to how we promote our ideas and build support for them. These 5 things, as I thought about them, are really the essential building blocks of true influence. And if you go back and listen to some of your past favorite episodes on She Said podcast, you'll hear many of these themes. So, going forward, my aim is to be more intentional around influence. We'll start with a focus on self-advocacy and self-promotion. And if that makes you a little squeamish, it's all the more reason why it's so important. It doesn't have to be cringe-inducing. In fact, it's much more valuable when it's not. As we kick off this new season, I'd love to hear from you. And if you're feeling particularly generous, I'd also be incredibly grateful for a nice review of this podcast on iTunes. And if you share your perspective about what you like and how you're using this content, I'll promote it on Instagram. Oh, and I almost forgot. If you're listening to She Said podcast on iTunes, please be sure to click follow so you won't miss a minute of our upcoming content. I am so grateful that you're spending some time with me, and I hope you continue to find this investment in you well worth it. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.